What you doing, Katie?
Breaking things, apparently.
Breaking what things?
Little bolts on my alternator.
Oh. Katie's changing the voltage regulator in her alternator because she's only getting 12 volts. How many of them are there?
4.
4 big long suckers that hold the back to the front. What size are they?
It's an 8mm. Spitting. Ta-da!
Pull all the way off.
I don't want to lose the springs.
So as you can see, this here is a brand new alternator. And what? An hour after we put it in, it started going at 12 volts instead of 14.3. Look at the old capacitor they put in it. It's rusted and pitted. This is a brand new alternator. That's awesome.
Everything else is shiny.
Everything else is shiny. I wonder if that capacitor is the problem. I mean, look at it. That is clearly a used capacitor. That is insanity. This is an ACDelco. I bought brand new ACDelco with a rusted, pitted old capacitor in it. That is scandalous. Absolutely disgusting. This is a made in America ACDelco too, by the way, guys. So it must have been on like Super Bowl Sunday they put this together. All right, new voltage regulator right there. Nothing to it. It's a $12 part, folks. That bolt, and that bolt. Take those 3 out. Don't mix them up. They got to go back in the same way. So for that back one in underneath there, so the farthest one away, I guess, on the right, you got to use a wrench because you can see here it's behind the magnets. So if you pull out the magnets, you can get at it, but that's a whole different can of worms you don't want to have to get into. Just use a wrench.
Wow.
Sound effects, Katie. You got to have sound effects.
This is true.
All right, so we got our 3 bolts out. You can see it's seen some heat. That's kind of normal. They all get discolored. So you got your brushes and your springs. You see they just fallen out. That piece comes off. Save that. You'll need it. Don't lose the spring. There's your voltage regulator next. Whoop. That's the culprit. I mean, look at it. It's brand new and it stopped working. So if this one stops working right away, we know we got to dig in here and figure out what's going on. There's your plug right there, so you know that goes out through the hole right there. There's only one way to put this in.
Upside down.
Just like that. And then line up your holes. This goes on top of the voltage regulator. Shares the same bolts, right? There's your springs. And here's your brushes. They're permanently attached. They should be soldered onto these little wire things here. Right? If they're not, you got an issue. If you look at your brushes, you'll see there's a rounded off edge and you got a flat edge. Put the flat edge in and hold it. Put this flat edge in and hold it. Don't do that where the springs go shooting out. That's bad. Alright, you're going to hold it with your fingies. You notice that hole? Stuff a wire in there. Now your brushes can't fall out. Just leave the wire in there. There's actually a hole in the alternator housing for the wire to go completely through, and then you pull it out the other side. Okay, now what you got, you see these 2 holes here in the middle of the housing. You notice the 2 dimples right there? That's how you line her up. Wire goes through that square hole. Katie, more light please. Yep. The wire goes through the hole in the case, so it's not a problem. It ain't gonna fall anywhere. Put those, oh, it's raining hard now, folks. Put those on there. Something like that. It's hard to do this when you're on the camera and your fingers down into a little hole. There we go. That's how she lines up. Push it down all the way. And again, leave that wire in. And now you can just put your bolts back in. All right, you can see we got our 3 bolts back in. The 2 with the insulators go here. The bar's back in. This is back in. The pin, sorry, the wire here, sticking out the back, ready to pull out once we do get the armature in. And that's only there to hold those brushes so you don't got to fight with them when you put the alternator back together. Now, as far as alignment and orientation, you see you got a big end and a little end. In this case, we were able to leave the bracket on, so we know where our big end has to go. But if you took that off, which a lot of times will happen, you don't know this can go 4 different ways, and then your plug will be misaligned with the front of your alternator. Like you could end up with your plug down here or over here, which would be under the bracket, which is not good. So before you take it apart, always a good idea maybe to mark your case so you know top and half which side lines up. Okay, so with our wire in, you can see how closed up it is. We haven't got the bolts in yet, so we're going to leave it until we start some bolts. Get one bolt in and then we can pull our wire. That'll hold it. Now this, you should hear 2 clicks. Just like that. Now your brushes are back on the armature the where they're supposed to be. Put in the rest of your bolts, tighten it up, put it back on.
Hey, you handed it to me.
Yeah, and I told you not to go too tight. They're just tiny little bolts. Get them all? All right, grab a ratchet and just check them by hand before you decide. Not worried about torque. It's exactly 2 ugga-duggas. Katie's got the alternator put in just hand tight. There's the bottom bolt, goes all the way through into the top of the cylinder head over there. Top bolt's in. You can see we got our belt in place. It is not tight yet, so we got to tension it. That wire's on, and your plug. That's all you got left to do here.
All my things are gonna go.
We all done?
Yeah,
Start it up.
I'm going.
See if this belt comes off here. Let's get lined up perfectly. If the belt breaks, it hits me right in the face.
What?
Go ahead.
Talking crap?
Yeah, talking crap.
Could you?
That's what I do. Probably should put some new heater hoses on that thing instead of them old used ones that I just found. A little squeaky there on the power steering side. Turn your lights on. Rev it up.
What is it squeaking?
Power steering.
Really? Can we change that belt?
Rev it up.
Oh yeah.
Charging better already, eh?
Yeah.
What are we at? We're at 12.5 right now. It should be charging a little higher.
Probably good.
All right, so the gauge is showing about 13, and we want to be like 14 and change. So we're going to check it with a voltmeter here, right at the battery. Sometimes the gauges aren't as accurate as they probably should be. There we go. Still charging up, so it's a little bit low. It'll top out at 14.3 if everything's working right. But 13.98 right now and climbing 13.99. So yeah, it's a good alternator now. Bad voltage regulator. I don't know what happened. Brand new one. You can see the capacitor in there was used. I don't know. Brand new part alternator with used parts inside. Good job, ACDelco. Anyway, we're just gonna let this charge for a minute. I'm gonna set the timing because it sounds like it's a little bit off, and I want to adjust the choke just because the weather's changing, winter's coming, and this was last adjusted in like September. Anyways, folks, there's Katie's Jeep. She's just come back all covered in mud from the test drive. All good. Charging at 14 in a little bit now when she runs the lights and the heater and the wiper and everything. I told her to turn everything on max, and it dropped to, I think she said it was 13.1 or something like that. So that's how you do your voltage regulator in the older style alternators. I mean, in the new ones, they're all different. It's anything so that the parts industry can make a buck. Anyways, folks, like, comment, and subscribe. We'll lots of Jeep stuff coming up here in the near future, so we'll see you on the next one.